Liberty is not a pill that makes men angels. What it does do is limit the extent to which evil can be expressed in the world.
Hello, welcome to episode 0x35, the 54th episode of Super Happy Dragon Lucky. Welcome to the show. How you doing, Rocco?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm all right. It still
Awesome.
works with the mask there. So you got this mask from someone in which group?
Who's in most of the Telegram channels,
right.
but it's King George. So shout out to King George for getting the mask out to a few people. That was great. Love it.
Good guy. Okay.
You're gonna wear a mask. You're gonna wear it in style, right?
Right on. I don't think we don't have them in the merch store, but I don't want to compete against the community if they're wanting to do that. Plus, there's the mask thing. I don't want to bring on any trolls or anything. Anyway, an update this week on the security value from the transaction that was posted. So we announced the new dollar figure metric on security inside of basically this is ongoing. This works for every single Dragonchain transaction, but we're just rolling it out one by one to the different products and different integrations. So the first place that you will see it is in the Bqc Trading System that we deployed a couple weeks ago. And when we first announced this, I think it was in the it was somewhere around 20 million. Maybe it was less than 20 million. And now a few days later, it's $106 million worth of hash power applied. And that's combined Bitcoin and Ethereum. We don't track hash power for the other interchains, so we can't meter those right now. But it's mostly to let people see that, for the 25 10 millionths of a dollar that you spent putting a transaction on chain, or even if it's more, even if it's a 5-cent transaction you're putting on chain, that you get quite a bit out of it in security. So pretty cool. And Rocco, you have something else talking about the announcement for the L4, right?
So if any of you guys have a golden JoJo, which you can find out on the website, on Dragonchain's website, you can go and put your time in, your address, and you'll see if you have a golden JoJo. And if you do, you are now eligible for an L4 level 4 node to run a node, which is awesome. I'm running one. It's awesome. Level 4. Lots of transactions, lots of payouts. It's great. You got to get KYC required, which didn't take me long at all. So that was very cool. I appreciate that. And things are going well. I like it.
All right. And we've had a lot of questions around that. Number one, the KYC. Why do you have KYC for level 4? And it's because it literally is a notary context. So the system needs to know who you are, or someone who would later take that transaction and want to prove it to someone, that it would show your company, your business, or your person, your name, on that signed block from that level 4. And that's the purpose of the level 4, is that it was a known entity, not just an anonymous account. And at Disney, it was originally intended that when it was internal only, that the level 4s would kind of sit on the wall, where they would they wouldn't be purely external, they wouldn't be purely internal, and then the level 5s would be really external. So and then the other thing, we've gotten a lot of, I think I have 4 questions sitting in Twitter DM about verifying whether someone can recover their JoJo, their golden JoJo. And in most cases, it is true, unless they've sent to an exchange, or if they've lost the keys to one of the wallets that it's gone through. That we've seen people, we've tested it through multiple addresses, not just from transferring from one to another address. And mostly that's to recover time, but the golden JoJo will go with it. So a lot of those people, it should work, but we want to verify and be careful. So apologies, I haven't gotten back to them all yet. And I think it's all the announcements for now. So we're going to watch something really quick, and we'll be right back with our guest, J.D.
Bqc Exchange is a safe, easy to use, US compliant exchange.
Because cryptocurrency is such a young industry, there's still a real lack of transparency.
So we are actually using Dragonchain's technology to help solve these transparency issues.
Bqc partnered with Dragonchain to take advantage of their anti-fraud and transparency systems.
So using Dragonchain's technology, we're actually able to use provably fair tech to verify that our order books and trades and executions are all very transparent to our users. This alone makes Bqc the only provably fair exchange in the entire world.
I have more than 20 years experience doing large, technically complex projects. One of the things that I was really pleased with in working with Dragonchain is that it allowed us to do the integration with their technology very quickly.
That's what makes Dragonchain and this a perfect partnership.
It's a good commercial, right? JD, welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going well. How you guys doing?
All right.
Doing great.
All right.
Doing great.
So we wanted to have you back on because the show's gone through the full broadcast. I think it was better received than I expected. I think I was expecting everybody to just troll us endlessly, as they do for everything else we do. But it went well, I think, right?
Yeah, no, the reviews were all very positive. I think we had a couple reviews. One was on, I believe, Cointelegraph. Another was that Bitcoin.com review. Both of those were really super positive. And yeah, I mean, I think overall the show's been a great success so far. And now it's, we're on to the next windows of distribution, as we call it in the entertainment business, to keep pushing it out there.
Yes. And by the way, so we had intended to promote the series. We had an open source money contest, and so it was 5 weeks of giveaways with the provably fair system. So we're wanting obviously to demonstrate that. But so the last prize, the grand prize, was decided today, and apparently the notification has already been sent out. So whoever won it, whoever registered for it, hopefully check your email, everybody, and get back with us, because I think you have a week to get back with us before we move on to the next set of blocks, in which case somebody else will win. So do pay attention. Check your spam. I don't know who sent it, right? I don't know from the staff, but it's 500,000 dragons, and they will be sent out, because it's quite a few. They will be sent out in increments over time. Not all in one day. So we'll give info on that. Thanks everybody for participating. We had, how many was it? 2,955 entries. So, of people that were crypto focused and paid attention to the open source money. It's a pretty good set, and yet really good odds to win, right? For a prize like that, pretty good. But did it? We really put that in place to try to promote the series. Especially because it was what do you want to say, a crossover type thing, where we have normies watching in a time slot in the morning, competing against Sesame Street, right? And yet it's a very crypto thing. So I by the way, I wanted to say, I think you guys did an amazing job of making it friendly for a normal person. That it was not overly complex. It was interesting. It was kept interesting. It was fun. So how do you? What kind of ratings did we see, and what do you know for numbers?
Well, I know that every week we were in the top 150 of all cable programming for that day, for Saturday, which the Science Channel didn't have anything else that ranked in the top 150, except for, I think, in week 3 or week 4, there was another show that also broke in the top 150 for Science Channel. But so in terms of the placement, we did really well. Ratings were great, but I think in terms of the creative side of it, just to get into that, it was like something that kept me up a lot of nights trying to figure out, how deep do we go into the technical side of this? Should we be doing what a lot of documentaries have done, which is explaining, the basics of how crypto works from a technical standpoint, from Bitcoin and proof of work to, the various elements of this ecosystem that those of us who are familiar with it know inside and out, but to a new person, you may not know it. And ultimately, I realized that at a certain point, most of us, the vast majority of the population use the internet, but have no idea how it works.
Right.
And our goal with the crypto world and blockchain should be similar, that everyone should be using it and leveraging the value that they're getting from it. But they don't need to know how it works in the deep technical elements. Now, those people who are excited about the potential of the world and the human stories that we told, my feeling is they'll go on that deep dive. If you go, crypto is one of those things. You could literally spend your entire life watching all the videos and media and all the educational materials that are out there. There's an abundance of them. So I was like, we don't need to be that. Let's be something else, which is what I also felt was the strongest part of your story, was the human element. And that was, you as a guy that was relatable, accessible. You've worked in the government, you worked at, for defense contractors, you worked at Disney, and you're this guy who's extremely credible as a software, architect and a leader in the industry. And you're saying this is legitimate. So a lot of people, I think, especially in the U.S., there's been this narrative that crypto is not legitimate, that it's basically, I don't want to swear on the air. I don't know the rules here, but it's fake. It's not real. So it's a fraud and it's a scam and it's all Bitcoin and magic internet money, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I think the idea was to at least show people, there's real people that are on the front lines doing this, whose lives are, whose lives are being transformed for the better for the most part, and a lot of people have problems. It's not a perfect world, and the crypto world is no different. But also those people are working to make, the world a better place to some extent. And Dragonchain is at the center of that. And I think your story gave people a window to come in and see, okay, there is real people, credible people that are doing this. And it's not just, some Eastern European hackers, using Bitcoin for drugs and prostitutes on the dark web, because that's kind of the media has painted that perception. And that was, around the time you and I connected, right after, right around your ICO, that was the narrative that started to take hold, and that the drumbeat that I saw the media turn on. It was like as soon as Bitcoin went to an all-time high, the media shifted, and there was an about face, and they looked to like basically stamp it down. And that was the feeling that I got from it,
Oh yeah.
So I wanted us in this series to kind of be the other side, or the other perspective that wasn't seen, which is that there were real entrepreneurs on the front lines in America that are looking to push this forward. And it is going to happen. It's just a question of what is America's place going to be in it. It's not whether or not this is happening. It's already happening. China's launched their blockchain network, their own central bank-backed digital currency. So this is rolling forward. The question is, where is the U.S. going to stand? When the dust settles in 5 or 10 years, are we going to be amongst the leaders, or are we going to be like old Europe where we're like an afterthought, right? So I think that's the question in my mind. Right.
And you had the clip in there also from the about the currency at the end, right? And I don't know who I can't remember who was in there, but they were specifically talking about that in the U.S.
Yeah, well, they're senators. It was a group of senators that were talking about a digital dollar. The Federal Reserve's looking at it now, but they're saying they don't want any help from private enterprise. And that's where I kind of shake my head. It's like, if it's going to be a room of bureaucrats trying to catch up to where, an industry that's moving as fast as this in real time, we're in trouble. So they need to reach out and know that there's, experts and thought leaders like you, Joe, and others who could actually help say, look, if you're going to do this and you really want to do it the right way, this is the path, So that's my hope, is that they do reach out to private enterprise and the leaders in the space,
Yep, they'll have to wait for the fractional reserve components to be built for for Bitcoin. No, I think Treasury too is looking at some things as well. So they'd be the ones that I would want to take it on, right? Anyway, that's cool. So syndication. What can you talk about? With what's coming next for because a lot of people couldn't watch it. Because it was U.S. only, and we had a lot of Europeans that had to, work through friends to proxy streaming and stuff like that, right? It was like I don't know if we're supposed to do that, but they they did it. So it's like what do you think? I don't know.
Well, the goal has always been to get the show out to as many people as possible. So we're looking at international syndication in Europe and Asia and Africa. We have a digital streaming partner that's got a reach of over 1 billion people that we'll be going out with in one of the windows. The key is just making sure the bigger players that are a little trickier are like the Netflixes of the world who we're talking to, and they're just a little more particular about how they want you to order distribution, and they don't want to come behind a massive kind of internet release of the series. So that's the only thing that's a little bit tricky right now that we're navigating, like in trying to weigh. I love a Netflix, and they have a huge user base, but their library is also so massive, and it's so easy to just kind of get lost in the noise there. And if you're not a priority to them, I feel like you get lost. So we're looking at Amazon Prime, Netflix, the usual streamers, and then we're going to definitely have a very wide digital release that'll be online. Anybody can access for free. So the goal was always to reach as many people as possible. I kind of had an epiphany as we were leading into this, which it wasn't on purpose, but as it was going to come out, and I realized it was going to be harder to watch than we wanted. I realized that there was kind of an advantage to that, because it's kind of like the reason that people stand in line at the Apple store for the iPhone 17 or whatever, right? And it's not because it's necessarily it's because of the scarcity element. It's kind of what works a little bit about elements of crypto too, right? So I kind of had that epiphany that there is something to be said about the show not just being everywhere all at once as soon as it comes out, because I feel like that's what is constantly the norm with content, which is not a bad thing. I think we're kind of spoiled. I think we're used to it. Like when I want to watch something, I can find it, and I can find it in 4 places, in four sizes and shapes and flavors, and especially in America. I mean, we basically are like laying on our backs and just like feed me grapes and pizza and whatever I want, right? So, and I think there's kind of an element to like, no, it will come to the point where it's ubiquitous and it's easily accessible. But I wanted it. I kind of like the element that there was a little bit of scarcity in this initial push. It wasn't planned, but it kind of organically worked out that way, I think. And I think there's a benefit to it. So I think there'll be digital. There'll be some sort of a streaming partner, like an on-demand streaming partner at some point. And then we're looking at that TV international syndication still for Europe and the rest of the world. So
nice, excellent. Okay. And you brought a video of some outtakes, yes?
I did bring a little funny video, and we might have 1 or 2 more of these we have to do, but hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Okay, let's watch it. All right.
Last a box of chocolates. I'll figure it out. I need to get high and then edit. Dragonchain. Oh, jeez. I didn't know you were saying. Ready. Do you have an empathetic fear of heights?
I just can't. If I put my leg over, you almost pass out. Yeah, that'll freak him out. Okay, yeah. Stand this way. An empathetic fear.
There has to be a term for that,
No,
right?
it is. No, it is, because I went and I put my arm over and he lost it.
Do you need me up here so you don't have this in the back?
You said that, and my whole legs, my whole body was just.
I got you. I'm right here. I'm holding you up.
Okay. Very weird. I don't want to say weird. It's a very scary arrangement. All right. So let's see here. On the other hand, if you put your tokens in, I will tell you, I don't want to say bet, because it'd be really to say bet. I could say bet.
Yeah, but you know.
But I went too far. So okay. So
I guess Dean, but I'm his boss, so I can tell him to do whatever I want. Every programmer has imposter syndrome, unless they're an arrogant asshole. I should probably work on my attitude a little bit. Why the fuck did you do this?
Personal philosophy that you live by, that you would share.
Don't be an asshole. I don't know, it's cool working with Dean. You know, because earlier when I said I was his boss, obviously that was bullshit. He was my mentor.
Like say Dean and Matt came on. Dean had been at Disney for quite a while, knew a lot of the same people, and they're hungry, right? And that's what we wanted.
So how long have you two known each other? Just tell me that. Start with.
Man, I was 14 and you were 37.
Yeah. I was looking for something to do, and it seemed like a lucrative field. People were like asking me if I could build websites because I was a young, scrawny guy, and they're like, "Hey, he's young. He looks like he does not play sports. So can you make a website for me?"
Luckily, the guy who's interviewing me, he was a Java dev, so he didn't really know what he was looking at either. So everything was just fine. But
aced it.
Yeah. What really comes first is just being professional and getting shit done.
Fuck.
Okay. All right.
Many of the world's greatest challenges will be solved with new systems powered by crypto and blockchain technology. And the sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit.
I was doing that at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
When I was sober.
Yeah. Oh, man. Can I have that?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet. What else you got? What is that?
Tequila.
That's what that is. Yeah, tequila. That's my favorite type of drunk. Angry.
And the sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh god. Awesome. Cut. I'm awesome.
All right, that was interesting, right? Yeah, that was good. That was actually
hilarious.
It was funny, except for my parts. My parts were not very funny, but
Joe is a tough critic, and you were funny. You're funny to everyone except for you. But
Okay,
I
good.
will say the Carlo thing, which is interesting. So he was one of our main DPs on the show, who Joe knows and loves, and his fear of heights is pretty pronounced. Like when we go in Toronto, there's a bridge that goes over the train track, and it's probably only like 15 feet off the ground, but he had to walk in the middle, and it's like a bridge you could drive a truck on it. It's like, it's as safe as a bridge as you're going to ever find. And he had to walk in the middle, and I had to kind of hold his arm. So the fact when we were shooting on these rooftops like that one, he was freaked out. And that's why it's funny the editor actually picked that particular moment.
that was good though. I totally forgot about that because he was weird. He was worried. It was a fear of other people having.
Well, he's just afraid of heights, period. So I went in that moment. You could kind of see Carlo shaking on this last part, and I actually was holding his belt and like in the back of his pants because that's how afraid he was. And we were standing. I mean, look, there's one of the biggest skyscrapers in Chicago, and you're on the roof. You know, unless we get hit by a missile, like we're not going down. But it didn't matter to Carlo. He was afraid.
It's hilarious. That was good. And we should get him on sometime because he's done some pretty cool other stuff, right? So.
Yeah, there's a show called I think All About the Pizza or something like that, where he's the host and created it, and because he's from Italy and he's a foodie, and so he did a reality show with Amazon. And I think they did a second season recently, where he goes to all the best pizza places in the world. And Carlo he's one of my favorite people to work with. Like he's the kind of guy he'll have me laughing in the TSA line at 6 a.m. when we're waiting to get on a flight. So you should definitely bring Carlo on. He's a lot of fun.
He's hilarious. So. Excellent. Okay, and then other people asked about the commercials that were on air. So there was a Gemini commercial, I believe, and I know there was a Coinbase commercial. So was that just? It was just in line with everything else. Just anybody because Geico also advertised, and I wanted to bring this up that we can hereby announce our Geico partnership that they did pay money to be on the show, right? And therefore, it's the entertainment side of the business, but it's still a partnership nonetheless, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Geico.
Geico is a partner.
Right
so
on.
so is the William Shatner one. I forget which that one was. That was some sort of.
That's right. William Shatner works for us.
That's right. He's a brand partner.
Brand partner, right on. Okay, he's cool too. So he's better than the Gecko even. So that's great. Then we had the topic of the censored commercials, right? And we were going to play, if we can play one of them that was particularly interesting in the fact that it wasn't allowed, right?
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and secret proceedings. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.
And so it's JFK from 1961, right? And it's too scary.
It is a little intense, but I love it. I think it's great, and that's something. If you look at the documentary I directed, I think it was 8 years ago, our co-directed with my partner Amardeep. We had that quote in there because it's just out of nowhere. I mean, you have JFK talking about secret societies, right? It's kind of it's crazy times we live in. I don't want to go how far we want to go down that rabbit hole. But it is crazy times. What I will say is, Scripps and Discovery, they were willing to do stuff with crypto companies, which we kind of broke through with that. That's why you saw, some other companies that probably have been waiting to try to break through, where we kind of convinced them. We said, look, this is legitimate. This isn't, especially for companies that are legitimate, like Dragonchain, Gemini, Coinbase, these big, bigger companies that are doing things by the book and correctly. You got to let them come on and advertise. So in that sense, there was a victory. But on the other side, they're still really conservative. And I pushed them. We went above the heads of a bunch of guys at Discovery to like top people at Scripps. And they just the big thing with the JFK thing they said, which was weird, was that they felt like they couldn't do it because of the family hadn't given the blessing for us to use his quote in that context. Now, that's kind of it's a little bit tricky, but we did have the moon one, right, where we actually have JFK's voice.
They played that. Yep,
they played that. So, which is kind of contradicts what they were saying.
It's just weird. It's like, not that one, not that one, not that thing. And it's weird too, because we thought this format, the intent of the format of that is to scale it. That we can take quotes about liberty or quotes even about engineering. Who knows what. The Assange one is quite a bit about crypto, but it's also about liberty. And to make it so that anybody could make these, right? It's the same format. It's a white background, and a lot of what we're playing with is the audio and what's in there. But I thought about that. It's like we've thought about doing Cicero and. Doing Washington and Jefferson. Now Jefferson, we could still get his family, and get permission from his family. But Washington doesn't have any family, right? It's like that was the end of the line.
Yeah, and I think that Scripps is actually notoriously the most conservative when it comes to this stuff. That like even our team that worked on the crypto commercials and getting those cleared, they were shocked. They were like, when they came back and said sure, they were like, we didn't think there was any way they were going to go for that. They didn't tell me that, of course, going in. They were like, oh, we'll make it happen. And then after they said yes, they were like, wow, we didn't think that was going to happen. So I think that progress is incremental, and I think we could always we're looking at some other networks that might be more friendly for an edgier commercial like that. I love it. I mean, for me, it's very much in line with the type of media that we like to to put out ourselves, stuff that pushes the envelope, that gets people thinking, gets people like questioning whatever truth that they've been, spoon-fed. And it definitely fits. I love the Assange one. I think it's great. And I love the Ross one, the Ross Albright one, which I'm sure you're okay, Joe, if we let them know that we've got a plan in place where we're going to do our best in the next few months to try to help Ross, get a pardon from President Trump. So that's something that Joe and I are personally committed to working together to see what we can do to help him, because it's a terrible injustice what's happened to Ross, and a lot of us take for granted our freedom and some basic things, and especially right now with what's going on with COVID. I mean, he's sitting there in solitary confinement for I think 22 or 23 hours out of the day, because they have everyone on lockdown because they don't want the virus to spread.
It's crazy. So why did they let him go? Didn't they let a bunch of the pedophiles and murderers go? Rapists, I think, have been freed. Maybe where's he held? Maybe we should just try to get him transferred to California, and they'll let him go. Maybe that's it, right?
I think it's a federal thing, because I read about a nonviolent drug offender in the South, but it was in the federal system, who had been released because he was like obese and had certain things that were like made him a high risk person for COVID. So maybe that I think Ross is in good health though, in good shape, so that doesn't bode well for him. But I think that the thing is, Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, he is somebody that does things unorthodox like this. He's the kind of guy that if he decides he wants to do something like pardon Ross, I could see it happening. So we're going to help his mother Lynn, and we're going to see what we can do to help push for that.
Yeah, count me in. I'll do anything I can. So I mean, that's just one thing, but there's a lot more we can do. So next up we have something on shadow banning, and this tied in a little bit with it, but we had this thing in when was this? It was 2 months ago. So I had posted, and this was somewhat of an experiment. I basically sent, and if you look at the tweet itself, it basically just says China. It points to an 8kun. It points to a Q drop, QAnon. So that was part of the test too. And then a retweet of a letter from General Flynn. Right. So it was all this stuff combined to say, okay, it's really China. And the weird thing is that you can't, if you have the link to it, you can get straight to the tweet. It doesn't show up in my timeline. It doesn't show up if you search for it. It's crazy. And so I posted it to Dan and say, is it just me? Because I did it through an incognito browser to see. It's like, no, it's not just because it's my tweet or anything. It's just kind of gone. It's really funny. So I don't know what the rule. I assume my bet is that the word China dot alone was probably all it took for them to say, wait a minute, this guy's up to no good. The algorithm. But anyway, so that happened. And we kind of put that aside, whatever. And then just yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I was on there, and one of the responses or something was something that showed up in my feed was next goal DC price, right? And I see he's replying to 3 others, whatever else, and I look up and it's like, wait a minute, this reply was hidden by the original tweet author. Then the reply before that, hidden by the original tweet author. Then above that, the account. This account owner limits who can view their tweets, right? So I'm like, okay, that's weird, right? I want to see, what is Juan Ma, pointing to. And so I go to an incognito browser and I see, wait a minute, it's my freaking tweets. The Twitter was telling me that I had hidden these from myself. It was the weirdest thing. So, and I was like, I asked, everybody else, and it's like, it's just bizarre that those tweets are hidden to me. I don't know if it's hidden to anyone else, but it's a really weird, maybe it's just a glitch, right? I don't know, but it's weird. So, and then, also above that, Ethereum fees. I don't know if you've had to deal with anything on Ethereum in the recent past, but it's kind of getting crazy. And I've seen quoted fee costs that were really, really high, even in the tens of dollars high, which is crazy. But I've only seen a couple, like a $3 and a $4 transaction that I've sent recent past, which is too high, obviously. That's like that's crazy for Bitcoin level. And so somebody had basically tweeted that, Vitalik still believes the fee should be less than 5 cents, and they're working towards it. So I'm confident. I think Ethereum will get there. But in the meantime, and for always, our fees are a lot less anyway. So, and you get the same security. Let's see.
Yeah, but
here.
the shadow ban thing is interesting.
Isn't
in terms
it?
in terms of Twitter, because I thought with Dorsey being in there that, him being a more crypto friendly guy, that maybe. And I did see the announcement about you being able to control who can reply to your posts, which some people think could be a good thing because some of the trolling and stuff, you can limit it. So I've seen some crypto guys commenting they thought it actually might clean up Twitter a little bit, but I'm not the expert on that.
Yeah, I mean, I started to play with that a little bit. I've not done it enough, right? But yeah, no, I think Dorsey is pretty much a bad apple, and I think he's a maximalist. So everybody has good points that he at least is positive Bitcoin, but I think he's only positive Bitcoin, and I don't know. It seems like since we've been using Twitter since 2016, 2017 is Dragonchain, it's been pretty obviously not handling a lot of what they should have been doing in crypto well. And early on, I understand if he wasn't interested, but after he starts declaring that Bitcoin is great, they should be handling all of the impersonation and the people trying to get people to send Bitcoin to get Bitcoin and all that crap. It's crazy that they haven't done it. So I say, I think Jack's just not really a good guy, but we'll see, right? Then let's see here. We also have Coinbase going public. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Rocco. Yeah.
Oh, the Bitcoin price. As of right now, we got $11,764. What do you got? What do you think we're going from here? What do you think?
What do you think, JD?
I think the bulls are going to run, baby.
Yeah.
Let the bulls. Yeah. I mean, the DeFi thing is pushing the entire market right now, and so. And even Ethereum is really pumping hard today, and I think it's largely being driven by the high fees and high demand. It's similar to the ICO boom a little bit, right? And how far will it go, or how long? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I'm sitting here scratching my head. Should I be getting into that yield farming and jumping in there? But it also sounds like a lot of people feel it's pretty risky and speculative, but. That's life in some respects. But yeah, Bitcoin, I think we're long Bitcoin in general. That's my viewpoint is everything is pointing towards a bull run that we're kind of similar to that early 17 kind of feeling, which if it goes to an all-time high, is it 30? Is it 50? Is it 100? I don't really know, but I do think the price looks good. I feel bullish about it.
Yeah,
I think it's becoming more.
I think it's gonna be a lot higher. Yeah, and I think it's the only thing that I wish and this is crypto political. If there were more utility, if it was still cash and store value, I think it would be already past 100K. But so I think it's probably going to be 100K, 250K. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that is holding it back, and some of it's manipulation, some of it's the bankers trying to do whatever they do, and world nation states doing whatever they do, and it's interesting, right? But hopefully all the better. I mean, it's Ethereum jumping would be really great. I just wish the fees would drop. And Coinbase going public, right? So what do you think of that?
I mean, I think it's funny because I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard JP Morgan was the one that was taking them public, or that was rumored. I don't know if that's actually happened, which is kind of like the full circle of Jamie Dimon saying Bitcoin is crap while he's having people get ready to buy it when the price dumps, and they're then researching it, launching their own token, and now they're taking a big cryptocurrency exchange public, which, look, I think it's generally positive for the space. The more legitimacy, the more credibility that comes in, I think it's better for the space overall. I even thought Libra generally had a lot of potential to do a lot of good for the space. Now obviously there's a ton of concerns around it, but so I view this in a similar way that some people might kind of view it as like, oh, do we really care about that? But I think it's generally good. More institutional money, more credibility, all that's positive. To me, that's not really what it's about, though. I think the key is if mass adoption occurs, that's ultimately like the thing that's going to make the initial dream or the potential of what this could be real. It's not going to be bankers and institutions, coming in with all their money. Now, if those two have to kind of work hand in hand, that's a different conversation. I think a lot of people in crypto have felt that that's what's needed for it to move forward is for more credible institutions and big dogs. But it's happening. There was a big announcement the other day. Another publicly traded firm is talking about putting a large percentage of its assets into Bitcoin. And so there's definitely a lot of signs and signals that more and more adoption is coming. And again, China and the rest of the world is moving forward with this. We don't know what the U.S. is going to do yet. Like, U.S. government and the regulators still haven't come correct with really clear guidelines that are, that create, clear boundaries for what people should do that are operating in the space. And that was actually a big theme of the doc, right? And if you look, Russia even has come out with pretty clear guidelines on it, and some of them are positive for crypto, but at least they came out with something. In the US, it's like we're still kind of in this weird muddled gray area where it's not really clear what's in bounds and what's out of bounds, and there's a lot of gray area and interpretation. So hopefully that gets cleared up in the next 1 to 3 years, as well, we can hope, in the big picture. But I think generally speaking, a company like Coinbase has definitely been a positive force for bringing more people into crypto. It's one of the more user-friendly platforms you can get on and buy crypto, I think. So that's my general thoughts on it. But
yeah, it's kind of the in between. It's between the traditional world and the crypto. I think it's great when any of those early players end up getting established like that, where it's going to be there forever now. As long as they don't screw up, right? But I just wish that people would pay more attention to the utility, because that's the thing that's missing. And like you talk about the DeFi stuff, you talk about everything going on. I think that the Ethereum community does a pretty good job of keeping it about the technology. They still get a little bit maximalist themselves, right? As we've seen on Reddit, but still, same time, I don't mind people, really loving, being passionate about their project and stuff. But it's just weird because you get into the DeFi stuff, and that there are at least a good handful of projects that are really good, that are brilliant, really good use. Something is real there, either real implementation, real ideas, something that would be really valuable. But then you have tendies and yams and literal, it's ridiculous. And I'm thinking, okay, and you end up with that whole thing where why the hell are we doing this? Okay, it's funny. Dogecoin is enough, though. Doge is funny enough for me. I don't need yams, right? And I don't even have any Doge. I wish I did. I've never had it. I've always said I should buy some. I never have.
Well, maybe now's the time to get yourself some Doge today.
Yes, but I'm in Washington State. I can't have very many exchange accounts anymore, right? So, no, but I don't get that. It's like, okay, I understand it's all about speculation, but come on, there's at least the whole reason that it is what it is, that Bitcoin is what it is because it's decentralized. It doesn't require that regulation. It's just bizarre to me. I don't get it. And even in all of the cases, it's so rare for people to look at the fundamentals and to really say, what is this actually doing? What could it do? What can I do with it? Right? Those are the things that you're supposed to be doing, and nobody does it. Everybody's like, well, I bought this. Why is it still this price, Joe? And I'm like, I don't control the damn price, right? It's like, go build something, or find somebody that will build something, or talk to, do something, or even if it's not Dragonchain. Support a project that's building something. Like Divvy is doing tons of stuff. I love those guys. There are a bunch of them. Right? There are a bunch of really good projects out there. That don't get on Telegram and bitch. Right? Don't go freaking go out there and start. It's like, oh, you guys, the bullshit that you see on Twitter let alone Reddit. I don't go to Reddit. Whatever you do, that's just a dumpster fire. The worst place in the world. I hadn't been there in ages, and man, I mean, I've been banned from a couple of subreddits.
I deleted mine until you did the takeoff. Mine was gone, and then I had to reinstall it.
And we got we had 140 votes. We had more votes than anybody else in the thread. And everybody's like, "You paid for these votes," and I was like, "Are you kidding?" He's like, "We paid for 140 fucking votes. Where do you live? It's crazy." It's like somebody in the Ethereum subreddit. 140 votes is a signal that might be shill. That might be a paid thing because it's 140 people voted up on this. Impossible. So sorry. Anyway,
did the results of that come forth or no?
No, I mean, we don't expect to win. We put it out there as like, well, we want to make sure that Reddit at least knows these ideas. It's kind of like what we do to Twitter. With Twitter, and I will keep saying this until they do it. They need a component for identity, ideally decentralized identity. We gave them the angle. We gave them the fact that every goddamn tweet should be signed. There should be no way for someone to pretend like they are Dragonchain Gang or Joe, right? It should totally be a signed thing that anybody in the world could look at and say, oh, that's not really them, right? They have the same picture, everything else, but that's not the official account. And they have the little stupid checkbox, which they mostly play politics with. We've been told, oh yeah, you should be able to get it. Always to be disappointed. It's like, no, we can't do it right now. You can't have a checkbox, Joe. You can't have a checkbox, Dragonchain. And they're like, well, we could use it because people are pretending they are Dragonchain Gang or Dragonchin Gang or Dragonchain Gang and all these other. Well, Dragonchain Gang was the other one that they forever really tried to. I think they made we were going to make a coin. We didn't do it, but. And so we tried to push that even as a way for their stockholders to know here is a way when Twitter can't make any money, and even Twitter is all based on speculation, that a way to monetize that identity, to say any company in the country would put up $5 or $10 to say, yes, we want the checkbox, we want to be able to sign our tweets so that nobody can pretend they're us. They would actually make good money doing that. They either didn't get it or they weren't interested or whatever they're doing is on purpose. Who knows what? So I shouldn't complain so much. Sorry. So I shouldn't be so negative, but it's frustrating. Yeah. So anyway,
well,
what are you working on?
Whatever just happened with the hack that happened last time could always shift the landscape. I wouldn't be surprised if they're more open to that idea now than they were before a month ago, Yeah,
they should be, right? Because that shouldn't have been possible. It should have been, somebody could have gotten the handle of the account and gotten something out, but if it weren't signed, everyone would know, oh, this is not really Elon Musk, obviously, wanting to send me Bitcoin, of all people. And then the other side of it is the attacker. What would you have done? Because I last week I showed that I would have done Trump's account and told people about dragons, but all joking aside, it seems like if you have access to people's accounts, that you could direct message people more readily, right? Get into CZ's account and direct message whoever is in charge of their hot wallets. People have tried to do that to us a lot. But it never works with us. So anyway, so JD, what are you working on next? What's up?
Well, there's a few things. Open source money. We're starting to film season 2, so we're excited about that with you guys and getting that out next year. There's a lot more developments happening with Joe and the Dragonchain universe that will, stay private until the show comes out or until Joe deems that it should come out. So there's that. And then we've got, what's it called? A bunch of feature film stuff. We've got a cool one that we're in talks with Joe Pesci on. There's some edgier feature film stuff we're working on. And a lot of, the scripted side of what we're doing has been only on development because with COVID, we haven't been able to, put things into production. It's just a really tricky time right now And I don't think in the U.S. it doesn't look good for the foreseeable future. I mean, my hope is by next spring we're maybe starting to get out of the woods. But my feeling is it's 1 to 2 years until things are actually kind of back to normal. But I think it's 5 years before the fear and all the programming that people have gotten actually starts to kind of dissipate to some degree. And there's some ways that the psyche might be forever shifted. As some people, I actually was at a pizza place and an old guy yelled at me, about the mask. He's like, "It's a global psyops." And my dad was with me. He's like, "What does that mean?" And I tried to explain it to him. So, and again, I don't want to get into that because it's a highly contentious issue and people are full of a lot of emotion, fear, and otherwise. And it is an uncertain world. I mean, for us, what always has anchored me is I'm all about making maximum positive impact in the world through media and technology. That's what I do. That's who I am. I'm here to help build the new world. And the old world it's in its death throes. So I look at what's happening with COVID and all this is, it's like it's a last gasp effort to try to ratchet down the old world, that pyramid style, top down rule, which I honestly think its days are numbered. That's my personal feeling and philosophy about it. But again, and not to say there isn't a real virus and there isn't real deaths and there isn't some real pain. There is. For me personally, I live a pretty simple life. I'm focused on, what can I do to help build that new world? And media and it's spreading certain ideas is like one of the main ways that we're doing that. And so even open source money to me came organically out of my relationship with you, Joe, and seeing a story that the world needed to hear. Not just about you, but about the world of crypto and about these real people that are on the front line. So we're always looking for more stories like that to put out. But right now, the unscripted side, it's a little easier. Like we can go out with a very small skeleton crew and we can film stuff, like we're going to be filming some more stuff for season 2. We already did a couple initial shoots and we've got more coming up. That stuff's a little easier to move on. The scripted side it's tougher, but with development, we've got some cool stuff. We've got, like I said, one with Pesci and his team that we're excited about that we haven't publicly announced. We've got a comedy involving an absolute icon that's a feature film that's in development. It'll be his directorial debut. All these an older comedian, and yeah, bunch of stuff in the hopper. And then on the tech side, the stuff with MiFi, Rainmaker, and MiFi, and I'm really excited about MiFi, especially as we're kicking off that project with Joe and the Dragonchain team, and me coming on and helping with business development and strategy and some other things.
Nice.
Hey,
if you need
a question from the community.
Real quick, if you need Pesci to shoot anyone, and if there's a scene where he gets shot, I mean, I was going to offer up Rocco. I'll do it too if he doesn't want to, but I think Rocco would be.
I'm Italian.
Well, what I will say, and the Italian piece could work, and the what I will say is that the subject matter does have to do with child sex slavery. I will say that about the Pesci movie. I won't say anything else because I'm keeping it under wraps for obvious reasons. But yeah, I plan to rain down fire on those nice people that commit those nice acts.
Nice. Good.
All right.
Great.
In Minecraft, right?
You ready for a question?
I'm ready.
All right. Yeah, we had a bunch of people asking about season 2, so you already answered that. But we had let's see here. Brian was asking, how will season 2 be funded?
That's a good question. It definitely involved crypto. That much I can say. That was our goal with season 1, was to fund it 100% with crypto. So I think that will be our goal again with season 2, so we can make the same claim.
Maybe we can do some type of a joint venture security token, and maybe not even token, just a security where anybody who wants, registered, right? We could actually fund it that way. Maybe that would be awesome.
Yeah, we could open it up to some sort of crowdfunding if that's something that there's enough demand from the community. We've done stuff with crowdfunding. I directed or co-directed and produced a documentary called Sirius 7 or 8 years ago. It was the most successful crowdfund in history for a feature doc until like the sequel to it broke the record like 3 or 4 years ago. So that's, we could do something on the crowdfunding side. But yeah, we're excited. We've definitely feel like there's a lot of momentum going on with open source money. Everyone that I've showed it to, especially non-crypto folks, that was actually the most positive thing to me, was that people who were not initiated, like, even like my parents, who really don't get it at all and think that they kind of look at me sideways like I'm a little crazy sometimes. But they got it at some level, the human story, and they realized the potential. My mom's asking me, where do I buy Bitcoin? Like, how do I invest? And so I knew that and I was like, well, she's like, how much of my savings or pension should I invest? And I'm like, a conservative percentage for you, because you're just getting into it, 5% or sub 5% even. And so, yeah, but that was a testament to me that I think that we hit the right path in terms of that series. So we're excited to do another season. And also, I think as a lot of these companies are building on Dragonchain, people don't necessarily know their stories. That's part of what we'll be uncovering in season 2 is, some of those companies, even like Rainmaker, which Dragonchain is building and is built on top of Dragonchain, MiFi, Dragon Den. There's a whole bunch of different projects that Joe, and not just Joe and the team, but other people are starting to build on Dragonchain. So we'll be exploring some of those, some other things that Joe and I are going to keep secret for now. And we'll bring in a lot of big people.
We've heard of some recently that we didn't know were building on Dragonchain, and we're trying to get permission to expose that. So and you filmed the stuff with Bqc too, so that was great. And those guys really are, I think, headed in the right direction. Actually, they're getting it, and they're coming to us with different things that can be done. And so there's a lot still left to do with them. And I think it's opening up a lot for us, so it's good.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
Any other questions? That was a good shoot with the Bqc guys. I like those guys a lot, and that's some season 2 stuff.
RD, any season 2 or follow-up episode on Dragon showing actual customers and how the company continued to progress? So you just some of that already.
Yeah, I think we just answered it, but yeah, just to clarify, there definitely will be. We'll be showing the stories of companies that are building on Dragonchain as a natural evolution of like the path of the company and Joe's story, and then there also will be, like similar to season 1, we'll be filming other companies, other people, other thought leaders. People like Perry Ann. I've had interest in following her story and her trying to get regulation or legislation passed in the U.S. On crypto, and hopefully crypto-friendly regulations. And that's something we're also looking to help with. We've been talking to her about getting a digital copy of the series into the hands of every congressman. So, and again, that's the other side of this is, yes, it's entertainment, but, Joe and I from the beginning were like, let's make it also in part, political advocacy, on behalf of the entire movement or the entire industry. And that's something I've always about Joe that I've always been impressed with, is a lot of guys in the space are really tribal and really I don't know, just very, I don't want to say selfish, but they're not as you're a lot more magnanimous about how you objectively view the technology in different projects, where I know some people would slam a project quickly if it's a competitor. I know that you're very objective on how you present yourself, even if you might even privately have certain things you don't like about a project. I've seen you oftentimes.
Litecoin.
Sorry.
No. It's a joke too. It's still good.
You just threw it out the window. No, I'm just kidding. That's one of the things I've been impressed with just working with Joe for the last couple of years. But there will be us exploring the stories of some of these other projects and companies. There is a major customer that is using Dragonchain that Joe alluded to. They're as big as you can imagine. It hasn't been publicly announced. Joe is working on opening them up to hopefully let us put them in the show and also publicly announce that they're using Dragonchain. But there's only so much we can control. But we did have Geico as a partner.
Geico is the part. Well, and Captain Kirk is maybe even more important. But the other thing about that on those projects, and I think generally, the easiest way, if you're going to do some type of analysis on a project, to determine the level, and it's not the end all, it's not the final, but you look at their leadership. Who created this project, if they came from Goldman Sachs, if they came from a bank, then you can bet this is not anything that is, how do I say this? And when I say that, when they came from a bank, if they weren't an architect or an engineer at a bank, which is different, right? So if it is an architect or engineer that's trying to actually bring something to the space, those are the projects that we really should be focusing on and trying to get adoption for and integrate it in real business, because those are the things that really would change the world. The things that I don't get are, when you have some of these, it's especially in 2017, you could see a lot of them where there was just a lot of BS that was thrown out there because everybody else was doing it and there was money, right? And there's nothing wrong with the money, but the problem is when people don't step back and do the evaluation to say, wait a minute, is this, which project, there's a lot of money here, which project should I go after? Anyway, interesting. So, and I say that selfishly because that's what we're all about, and that's, I want to work with other projects that are like that, and sometimes it's really hard because they don't tend to be the ones that get as much of the hype because, they don't have some big VC pushing them or whoever knows what, right? So anyway, I think that's, do we have any other questions? I think that's everything. Otherwise, everything we wanted to cover. And we're past an hour, sorry about that. So merch giveaway. We are giving away the open source money hoodie. I think you can pick any color you want, any size you want, and it'll pay for it. I think it still won't pay for the shipping. Apologies there. We're still trying to figure out why it won't let us give free shipping. But you can get that, and the code is SHDL-OSM-Seraphine. All right. And I always have to check if there's an M or an N in your name, and for whatever reason, I can't. It's like,
well, because Seraphim is the highest, one of the highest choirs of archangels, but it's with the M at the end.
That's right. So, that's right.
And I'm definitely no angel. As Patrick Byrne would say, I'm a sinner lord. I'm going to sin again as soon as I get the chance. So
right on. Okay, so somebody go in there, and by the way, I think next week we might not put that at the end of the show. So show up early. We might give away stuff at the beginning of the show. Anyway, next Tuesday, Super Happy Dragon Lucky, we are going to have a very special episode on Tuesday. That'll be announced maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask the guys. Like, comment, subscribe, everything, all the normal stuff you're supposed to do, and be ready for the Tuesday show. Same time, 3 o'clock Pacific, Tuesday. All right. Thank you.
Great.
That was good.